Good morning, welcome back to the channel. My name is Bobby. I'm a hay farmer in Nevada. And this morning we are gonna get our mill stack unhooked and we're gonna hook up to that disc over there. And we are gonna go disc a couple checks of a field we spread manure on yesterday. And then we're gonna fill in a ditch with some dirt because we want to be able to drive straight from where the manure is stockpiled into the field and not have to go long ways around. So that'll save us a bunch of time. So I'm gonna get this disked. We spread 2.5 of 7 checks yesterday. We had a different pile we were working off of. So just a quick overview how this all works. So this is the cable that controls the mill stack. It actually goes to the stack computer is on the mill stack itself. And then that up there inside the cab is just a display. And the joystick is wired through, I believe it's wired directly through to the stack, to the job computer. It doesn't actually interface with the monitor. So I think what happens is the commands go through the joystick to the stack computer, which is it's underneath here. I don't know if you guys can see that little gray box. So that's how this thing all works. That's what makes it automatic, is that stack computer. I love a stuck pin. We'll crank it up a little bit. Sometimes it helps. Sometimes it makes it worse. We'll see. If you farm, you know. Getting pins out of equipment is a nightmare. Especially this newer stuff, because like these bull pull hitches and bull pull hitches, and there's a few other types that fit exact. They have bushings that are exactly the same size as your pin, so there's no forgiveness. So I'm gonna get this pin pulled and we'll pick the video back up after while we're hooking up the disc. All right, so we got that pin out. It actually wasn't too bad. I just realized I'm wearing a bull pull shirt. I'm not sponsored by bull pull. I had to buy a replacement bushing. Well, I had to buy a replacement swivel ball, and then I had to get a replacement bushing because originally the mill stack, it came with a bolt and its own like hammer strap stack, but the spacing on it for the bolt holes to bolt to your drawbar were wrong for our tractor. I think it's just for a smaller tractor, the spacing was shorter. So it had to order a different setup. Granted, that would help hold the mill stack a little tighter because it does tend to buck a little bit. Which that's kind of a bull pull issue as well, because we have a different style bull pull on our baler and it completely fills the area between the drawbar and the hammer strap. When I say hammer strap, that's this. Some people, I don't know the proper name. I don't know if it's a hammer strap, a top hasp. We missed the whole pop in. That's called a drop pin. A lot of the bigger tractors have them. They're really nice, but they are a little bit impractical because you unhook the previous implement. I hope I caught that. You unhook the previous implement and you got to jack it up, and you can't set the drop pin until you have the hitch out of the way. So you're in, out, in, out, in, out. I mean, it works. Sometimes it's nice, you know, but usually our tractors are all hooked up to something. So this is, let's see if we see that. That's a daily, that's pretty much, my dad and I are business partners, and we probably talk, I don't know, 30 times a day. So let me take this call. All right, so we got the disc hooked up and we're discing along here. I've already disced about a check and 3/4, but we'll show you what it looks like. And this is what it's looking like after it's been disced. So we're just mostly trying to bury that manure. That's our main goal. And then you can still see all these clumps. And then these are corn stalks from last year. There's a chunk of concrete. Sometimes you get chunks of concrete in the manure. Just because where they were cleaning up off a slab or something, they hit it with a skid steer. And I never did that. I'm perfect, but I don't. My charging thing is not charging, but maybe it's. It's a bad throw. Let me see if I can make it work. I love the GoPro, but I hate the GoPro. Anyway, this is what it looks like. So this is like a corn stalk that I disced them last fall, and then I just power harrowed this field, and then I planted my wheat. So this one's been underground, and you can see the outside of it is kind of starting to rot, and most of the soft pith inside is gone, right? All the starchy center is starting to rot. But some of these were sitting on top of the ground, and they aren't as broke down. But that's good. I want it to break down slow. You know, it ties up some nitrogen, but it also, tying that nitrogen up gives you a nice slow release as well. So, where were we? Let's see if we can get this charger to work so we don't die. I guess it only charges when you're not filming, or the battery's a little too warm or something. We'll get as far as we get. So we're disking. I'm disking about 5. You kind of want to lug these engines, right? You don't want to lug them bad, but like anywhere down to like 1800 RPM is good. It's fine. If I go to 10th gear, I'm gonna lug it a little too low, right? But your best horsepower is actually in that around 1800 RPM, full throttle, but you're lugging down to 1800 RPM. I don't understand the physics of that, but it says it right in the tractor manual. That's your highest power, right? So 6.5 is working fine too, and it'll get me down a little sooner. I'm gonna get this disc, and then I gotta go grab the loader. I think I mentioned already, grab the loader and fill in that ditch, so that we can just pop right over. Otherwise you gotta drive 1, 2, 3, what is it? Like 800 feet down, cross 2 bridges, then come 800 feet back. So we'll fill the ditch in, and then we can at least spread like 2 or 3 of the checks, so it's faster to spread, just go over the ditch and spread. And it's actually probably faster for all of them, because trying to make those turns on that bridge, you know, you got to turn pretty wide, and so I'm just going to avoid that. So we're going to get this disked. There's probably a soft spot right here because this is the second time I hit this and it started lugging me down pretty hard. Just like really light sand or something there. So what I'll do too is just gear down because I'm starting to lug the tractor to where you can hear that it's struggling. So we'll disc this twice, not this morning, just this morning I'm just gonna get the manure turned under is all I'm trying to do. And we got a little rain on it last night, like a half a tenth, you know, just nothing. It's already gone. It was a little foggy this morning. And then we'll pick these borders up with our border disc, levee machine, ridger, whatever you want to call it. We'll make them big and wide and tall. These just didn't, I mean, I've made new borders when I put the corn in. I pulled them up, but they just didn't really have, they didn't stay big. I don't know why. I don't know if I had the ridger set up wrong or something. So we'll make sure that when we pull these borders again, we get big, tall borders because they're gonna be in alfalfa for the next 5 to 7 years. And they're gonna break, you get gopher holes, all that, but if you can prevent the water from just going right over the top of them, it helps. And then I'll also bring new material to those, I just call them drive overs. Some people call them headlands, drive overs, whatever you want to call it. It's so you can get over your border without climbing a super steep hill. And then what I'm also gonna do is as it comes through this gate, this head gate, I'm gonna pick up my disc. I don't want a disc in front of my head gates if I can help it. Let me set you guys down so I can get kind of situated. I'm gonna back in. I'll back in and then I'll pick the camera back up and I'll show you. All right, so we're backed up right to the edge of the field, right to the ditch, and then buried the disc as deep as we can, and we're gonna go forward. And we'll do that again when we hit that other corner, just to make sure we get everything disked. This field's pretty clean. We've had, you know, we've had a few rains since I harvested the wheat, but you can see, you know, there's some weeds out on the edges, but it's still pretty minimal. These roads used to be just a jungle of weeds, but my dad made a pretty solid effort for a couple years keeping them sprayed, and then last year when we had this in the Roundup Ready corn, I sprayed it twice. I sprayed the corn twice, so I sprayed really early, like V3, V4, somewhere in that neighborhood. I like to spray it really early. One, you have a lot less risk with your dicamba. I still use the Diflex, which has a corn safener in it. But you get a lot lower risk of injury. And two, it's a lot easier to kill small weeds, you know. Just because you don't see them doesn't mean they're not there. I don't like to wait until you can see a green carpet out there and then go spray. If the corn's out of the ground, the weeds are out of the ground, right? And then subsequent irrigations will bring on more. So I water the first one, I water the corn up, and then I go right afterwards. Basically, you know, corn comes up, and then in like 10 or 15 days, I'll go spray it again. I'll spray it the first time, I should say, and then I'll put some pre-emergent herbicides in, I guess residual herbicides, I should say, in with that. Depending on the year, I've done Prowl, I've done Outlook. You don't have a ton of options in sand, and you don't have a ton of options with flood irrigation if you want to be on label. But those do seem to help, especially we have a lot of, I don't know if it's, I have never got a good answer from my apps or the internet as to whether it's fall panic grass or Mexican love grass. I don't know, but everyone here just calls it water grass. It tends to grow where you have a lot of water logging and that sort of thing. So everybody here, they just call it water grass. Grows on the bottom of the fields, anywhere you have a bare spot, you know, where the hay drowns out or something. And that prowl does help a lot with holding off that water grass. And then I'll go back, I'll irrigate my second irrigation, and I'll go back when the corn's about, you know, 24, 30 inches tall. And then I sprayed just Roundup. So the first 2 years I grew corn, I only sprayed it once. And the corn itself in the field stayed fairly clean. I had a few spots where I had some late season weeds. But like the borders were terrible. And so going back and hitting it with that second shot of Roundup only, really cleaned up the borders. And then I went and, you know, the one year I sprayed my own miticide, but then the last 2 years the corn just got away from me. It got too tall too fast, and so I had someone else come spray the miticide with a drone. And that worked really well. The first 2 years I used Onager, and Onager through the ground rig with 20 gallons of water worked really well. I didn't have any mite pressure till, you know, like a week before they were chopping. The next year I ran Onager with the drone, and I think it called for like 3 gallons of water. And I had, around the edges, I had pretty good mite pressure. Not super early, but early enough, you know, that I think it hurt my yield a bit. So then last year I used Zeal, and I think it worked pretty well. I did see a little mite pressure where I had, you know, some more like drought prone areas. But the corn that I grew like over on my river bottom ground over there, I had 26 acres over there. 14 of it is, well, actually I should say about 20 acres of it is phenomenal. And then 6 acres of it is kind of sandy marginal ground. But that didn't have much mite pressure. This field had some more mite pressure and just a lot more drought pressure. I don't know how this yielded by itself. I know my total corn yield was somewhere like 32 tons or something like that. I can't remember exactly. I'd have to go back and look at the invoice. I should do that. But I know that other corn over there, especially in that heavy dirt, it probably yielded like 40 tons. It was huge, you know, it was like 11 feet tall, but the ears were just massive. And, you know, it never hurt for water. I watered the heavy dirt on the same irrigation schedule as I watered the sandy soil on. It's just easier to manage it that way. And so that heavy dirt just never hurt for water once. And I had a 114-day variety over there, and it just kicked ass. So I'm gonna end the video there. My uncle just showed up. I'm gonna get this disc the rest of the way and go grab some scoops of dirt and fill that ditch in. I'm sure my dad's close behind. We went to breakfast together with my other uncle. They go every Wednesday. It's just kind of a tradition. We all used to go to breakfast every Saturday with my grandfather and a couple other guys around town. And then when my grandfather passed away, we kind of quit going. I quit going to breakfast, and my dad quit going, and my dad and his two brothers, they kind of picked it back up, and they go on Wednesdays now. So I don't go. With the kids, I try and help with the kids every morning and all that. So anyway, that's kind of an overview. I wanted to just show you guys what this looks like disking. I'll try and remember when I throw the border disc on to show you how that works. But it's basically just like a 3 blades on either side, and they are set up so that each side throws dirt toward the middle. And it basically just makes a big ditch on either side of that border, and then we come back when I float it and fill it in. So I'm gonna end the video here, and then we'll see you on the next one. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, send me an email, and I think we're gonna link our website, so check out the website, and if you need any hay, give me a call. See you on the next one.